Hello YouTube, well I'm back, been quite a while, no good reason, I guess life gets in the way as they always say, but I think another part of it has just been I haven't had as much to talk about, and being on lockdown there hasn't been any chance to get out and do package and pickups and all that sort of stuff, so I let things kind of build up and say let's do one bigger video instead of tiny videos. And with that we're going to do a package and pickup. We've got a few bits, nothing too remarkable, but we may as well, given its size, do the bigger item first. And it's video game related, but actually not video games. It is the Lego NES set, which if you follow me on Twitter, you probably would have seen me doing the build. Kind of cool. So this is the TV part. I'll try and hold it up. It's going to be a bit awkward. So it came as a set where you get like an old kind of CRT TV, and you have your aerial at the back, and it actually rotates so that the screen looks like, you know, Mario is playing a level of, World 1-1, I guess, on the original Super Mario Brothers. And it's quite an interesting build, the way it has all of the kind of technical elements and caterpillar tracks to make rotate. Quite intricate, and there is actually a sticker for the back, oops, because it has a lot of detail. There should be a sticker which I haven't applied, and you have the TV connections and tuner thing, I guess. The only thing I don't like is the fact that the TV stand part doesn't actually seem to attach. So, which is probably more true to real life, but it's not great for a Lego display model. Also, I do like that, even though it's just a noise thing, the channel selector makes a kind of a clicking sound. So yeah, it's certainly a nice replication of a vintage TV. And it was actually, I was just sitting on the toilet here. The instructions came with two kind of big beefy books, and there is a little bit about kind of like the history of the NES and what in the opening of it. So it's worth a little bit of a flick through on its own. But the main event, I guess, is the NES itself, which is a pretty good build. You know, when you consider that the NES is basically a grey piece of plastic, it can be kind of a repetitive thing to build, and you know, not necessarily the most interesting in terms of just constantly going through the same sort of repetition, but they managed to actually make it interesting, especially given that they have an internal mechanism. Although mine, there must be a mistake, because I have a spare piece. You should not have a spare piece like this when you build a Lego set, and the push down mechanism tends to lock. And anyone who has a real NES will know you put in your cartridge, and speaking of it, here's the cartridge. There is a sticker for this, for the Super Mario Brothers label, but I haven't applied the sticker yet, because I hate putting stickers on Lego. You put that in, you push it down, you close it over, locks in place, that type of thing. And it should work fine, and it should pop back up with a little bit of pressure. And I'd imagine the Lego system is meant to work exactly the same way, but in my case it doesn't. And I have a funny feeling the kind of release mechanism there, I've made a mistake, and that's why that is. And there is also, I think it is it on the side or the back? Not sure. Should have tested this beforehand. Well, let's crack it open while I have the top open. So we're seeing the inside, and that's the kind of mechanism. It must be this side. One of the sides opens up. Not this one. Yeah, it's this one. Here we go. So, I don't know how well that'll come across on camera, but essentially, this is kind of like, I think it's World 1-2, the first underground zone, kind of replicated in micro scale in Lego, which is a cute little addition, and helped make the build that little bit more interesting. Because other than that, as I said, you're just building a box. Where we go? So I had fun building that on and off over the last month or so. Yeah, but got it fixed. Oh, there we go. It's back up now. So as I said, you can hear there's meant to be a click, and I think it's this Technic pieces is meant to click in place, and you press down, it's meant to release. But clearly I've made a mistake. But best thing about Lego, you can go again. You know, it's not the end of the world. And to finish it off then, other than a whole bunch of spares, which I'm desperately trying to not... See, there was a bunch of like these tiny little spares, 1 by 1 pieces. You always get those spare. And I don't know if you probably can make it out. It's probably too small, like little like stars and stuff like that from Mario. But you don't get the bigger pieces spare. And then the final piece was a replica NES controller, which actually does plug in. You know, it has a connection to plug in into the NES system itself. Like that, I think it is, or is it upside down? Yeah, it's probably upside down. Yeah, like that. So it works very nice, and as far as a Lego representation goes, it's probably as good as you can get. And I like the fact that they've got printed tiles for NES and Power and Reset and low tech on the television. Because as I said, like Lego is great as a construction kit, but I hate putting stickers on, and especially when you've got big sets like this, the last thing you want is to be fiddling around with stickers. But anyway, that was a big ticket Christmas item. We just move this out of the way so that, because if I just stick the rest of the stuff on top of it, I'll end up with Lego everywhere. Now, on to the games. So, got a stack of games here, most of which I haven't even jumped or opened up yet, but we'll start with the one that I have opened up, and that's Tetris 99. Well, a bit of an odd one to pick up because, of course, it's online. It's predominant, like there is a single player mode, and you can play the 99 mode even against a CPU, but predominantly this is an online experience, and it's actually really quite enjoyable. I'm not big into kind of online games, but I do like Mario 99, and I picked this up because it was £22 or €22, but a year subscription is €20, so basically Tetris was £2, and then you get the kind of, well, that's used, but anyway, you get the, you know, the physical cartridge, so you get something to stick on your wall. And I do kind of think it's kind of amusing. This is what instructions have come down to now. You just get a print on the inside of the sleeve and of the cover how to play. Now, I suppose in general you'd say, yeah, that is how you play Tetris. I mean, who doesn't know how to play Tetris? Move the piece, drop the piece, rotate the piece. But there's actually quite a bit of strategy, especially when you're playing online. How do you build up your garbage? Are you going to do T-spins? Are you going to do combos? All that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I could honestly have done with a bit of a manual, because even the online, you know, the game itself doesn't have a manual. Now, the only thing is, this did come with a scratch-off code for 12 months for online, but Tetris is a cart. So you do have to put in the cart. So I actually find I often end up just putting, I have Tetris downloaded on the Wii, on the Switch, and my memory is going if I'm thinking it's a Wii. You know, I end up just playing the limited version and leaving this one in the box. But it's nice to have anyway, especially at the price. It was basically €2 for Tetris. Next up is something that was a remake. It's Story of Seasons Friends of Middletown. Is that it? Yeah, Friends of Middletown. Now, I had the Game Boy Advance original, actually with my sisters originally, but I played a lot of it, and I really enjoyed it. I suppose it was the kind of precursor to a lot of these kind of Stardew Valley is massive now. Even Animal Crossing has really kind of taken on a lot of that. But this was the original kind of social sim type of game series. Most people would have known it as just as Harvest Moon, but of course Harvest Moon and it was Marvelous and Natsume, they kind of split away. So Harvest Moon is not the same thing anymore. It's a whole different series. So it's now called Story of Seasons, and there are games called Harvest Moon, but they're not Harvest Moon, or they're not. Oh, it's all very confusing. But I wanted, again, something to kind of pick up, you know, that you can pick up and do in chunks, and so that's why I picked this up for the Switch. I can't wait to get into it, but the reason why I haven't started it yet is because I am still playing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which was a Christmas thing, and I did not think I would play Smash Bros. As much as I have done. I've played a hell of a lot of it. I completed the story mode, if you will. It's not a very deep story or anything like that. There's not a lot of cutscenes or whatnot, but I think it uses the characters and the assets and stages and changes things up just enough to keep it fresh and keep you coming back. And there's a hell of a lot of characters, like 73 characters, without any of the kind of download content and stuff like that. And it's better, I don't know, 80 stages or something? I don't know, a lot of stages. Hell of a lot of variety. I actually didn't, the reason why I didn't pick this up earlier, and the reason why I didn't think this was going to be my thing, is because I found with Smash Bros. On the Wii U, which was a great game, and on the 3DS, I had become to find the action too frantic. and I was struggling to trace what was going on. And I don't know, is it that I'm playing on a different TV now, or what's the story, or but I find Smash Bros. Ultimate a lot nicer. And again, not much to see inside other than the fighter roster. And I suppose I'm surprised it says ready to fight as opposed to everyone is here, because that's the tagline at the back. That was a tagline through all the marketing. And yeah, I'm still playing it since Christmas, so that just shows you. And that's why I haven't even opened some of these other ones. Next up is the game that I actually thought I would have spent all this time playing, but I opened Smash Bros. Once because I said I'll just have a quick game of Smash Bros. Because it's short. You jump into Smash mode, play against the CPU for 10 minutes, move on to something else. I have barely even touched Smash mode. That's how much I've played. Between the Spirit Board, the Spirit Adventure, and the Classic mode, which I'm nearly the end. I've got about 12 characters, I think, left, or 15 characters left in Classic mode. Then a few side modes. I have not played the regular mode. Oh, yeah, I have played online, and I got my ass kicked a few times, so yeah, I'm not going to play online too much. But I had expected to play more of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, because I played a lot of Hyrule Warriors on the Wii U. One of my favourite games on the Wii U. Well over 100 hours. If I was to check, I won't be surprised if it was over 200 hours I spent, because I got the DLC on it, and there's a hell of a lot of content, and it really does take you a long time. Yes, there's a degree of repetition with all the warrior games, but I found it good fun, and I like the kind of use of the Zelda series within it. I'm not as big a fan of Breath of the Wild as a lot of people are. Anyone who's seen my kind of top 20 Zelda games would probably know that it ain't going to sit on my top of the pile for me, but most people love Breath of the Wild, so I'm not surprised they focused on that in the sequel. But having said that, because I enjoyed the first Hyrule Warriors, I definitely wanted to try this one, and I still do want to try this one. Apparently we got to experience a story set 100 years before the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Well, the way I'm going with Smash Bros. It will be 100 years before I get to this one. So I'm sure it will be enjoyable. I'm really surprised that they haven't actually announced DLC for it, because they have typically had a lot of DLC for these type of games, and I would have thought they would have had DLC maybe leading up to Breath of the Wild 2, so perhaps they're actually holding that off, and when they do, announce Breath of the Wild 2 in more detail, because obviously it's been announced, but when they give a bit more detail and maybe a release date, they might have a bit more activity leading up to it. And that actually gives me something else I want to mention. Obviously Tetris 99, that's an online game, kind of stuff going flying everywhere here, and I'm thinking Zelda's 35 this year. Online game that I've been playing a lot of is Super Mario Bros. 35. I've actually, unlike Tetris, which is the best I've been able to finish is second, and that was a one-off. My performance Tetris is up and down, as enjoyable as it is. And for those that don't know, on the Nintendo, what's it called? Nintendo Switch Online service, most of it's just so you can play online. But they do have a few extras, like they have the NES and the SNES. There's mini catalogs there and cloud save and stuff. But they also have Tetris 99 that you can play online, and they have Super Mario Bros. 35 you can play online. And you can just download them once you have your subscription and play away. Super Mario Bros. 35 is actually really cool. It's this kind of 35 people play Mario Bros. You kill enemies to go off to other people, all that sort of stuff. And you just try and last as long as you can in this Battle Royale style format. I wouldn't have thought Mario would work in a way, but it really does. It's very good fun. That one I have been able to finish, as I said in first, so that's great. But it's going away at the end of March. And just like the Super Mario 3D All-Star Collection, which I think I mentioned in my last video, which tells you how long it's been, there's a few of these Mario 35 anniversary things that are basically, they're lasting till March and then they're gone. And I wonder if they're going to replace it with a Zelda 35 or something like that, because it's going to be the 35th anniversary of the original Legend of Zelda. So maybe they'll do, the Legend of Zelda 35 and do something similar. Interesting to see how that would work. I'd definitely be curious to try it. I don't see it being as good a fit as Mario, but yeah, it'd be something to do, because it does go down to how will they, they had a lot of stuff for Mario's 35th anniversary. They had the 3D All-Star Collection, they had Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury, whatever that's called. Great game. The original is a great game on the Wii U, so I've no doubt, this port and editions are going to be great too. I haven't really looked into it too much yet. Then they had obviously Super Mario 35. They had Super Mario Kart Live, or whatever that for VR augmented reality thing is. They had the Game and Watch Mario, and I actually considered picking up some of those. And I said, you know what, they'd end up just gathering dust. I'm not going to do anything with them, so I didn't want just shelves, stuff filling up shelves, because the shelves are well full. So not just because some company tells you it's a limited or whatever doesn't mean you go gag over it. And that kind of gets me onto the Zelda thing. That is something that I do go a little bit more gaga. So, what would they do? Are they going to bring out some special limited edition stuff? Are they going to maybe do remasters or collections? I would love to see maybe Skyward Sword be given a kind of a remaster treatment in the same way that they did Wind Waker HD. They kind of tweaked a little bit of it to kind of tighten it up. If you could do the same with Skyward Sword, that'd be great. Or maybe bring Wind Waker HD and Skyward Sword HD from the Wii U. Because the Wii U catalog, the vast majority of it has been ported to Switch. For someone like me who had a lot of those games, that meant the Switch didn't have as big a library as it might have done for other people, or as appealing titles. But for those that haven't had a Wii U, which was most people, it was a bit of a flop. That's a hell of a lot of content, a lot of good, great content, in fact, and that's another 2 titles that could come over. And if they do a kind of big anniversary thing, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. Of course, they've done Zelda collections in the past. Maybe they'll reissue those. Really interesting to see. Well, assuming they do anything at all, but I would be shocked, given that I think Breath of the Wild is going to be the big Christmas title this year, that if they don't make a kind of a big to-do about having multiple Zelda things. And I think, wherever I've thrown it down here, I think DLC for Hyrule Warriors will be part of that. It'll probably be later on in the year, just to kind of lead in. Anyway, enough rambling. That's just something we'll talk about another day, I guess. Breaking up from the Nintendo stuff, we've got a couple of Sony things. Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Most recently I played Assassin's Creed Origins, I think it's called, the one in Egypt, and I generally love Assassin's Creed games. Not all of them, but most. Actually, no, that's not true. I had played Origins, and then I went back and I played Rogue on the PlayStation 3. It's been a while since I played something on the PlayStation 3, and I actually completely forgot that the PlayStation 3 does not have a kind of a standby mode where your game remains in memory. And every time you turn it back on, you actually have to boot it up and go through the load. It's like, oh. Modern consoles, they get a lot of flack for load times and long cutscenes and download required and all this sort of stuff. But one of the great conveniences is that automatic, jump into your game, resume where you are. That is such a nice feature. And you can talk about ray tracing. You can talk about all of these other, things that you're going to do with next gen. I think more advanced kind of convenience features, that's actually the best part of modern gaming and the next gen games going forward. Just like wireless controllers, this kind of jump in and even download and quick accessibility, that's the real kind of driver for new change. Not, oh look, it looks prettier. Because to be honest, once a new gen rolled around, I seen some of the trailers for it, and I was like, it doesn't look that much better than PlayStation 4. Not to me. So I was like, it probably, if you screenshot it side by side, oh look at the detail. The Switch stuff looks grand. I don't need any better. Hell, the NES stuff looks grand. I'm playing Mario 35 and I think that looks grand. You know what I mean? You don't necessarily need to focus so heavily. But yeah, back onto this one. I liked Origins. I thought it was really interesting the way they changed some of the stuff up, and it was a nice locale and whatnot. And this is basically the next in the series. I know it's not the most recent one. Valhalla, I think, came after that. But I'm not as big into the Norse mythology and Norse kind of stuff. And I kind of assume that will lay into that a bit more. I could be completely wrong. Let me know in the comments, I guess, if I am. Because I wasn't as keen on God of War, the new one. I tried it for a while, but I couldn't get into it. But the Roman stuff, yeah, that seems like we're right up my alley. So long as they haven't loaded up with microtransaction-based stuff, which I don't know. I'll find out. And then finally, on the game front at least, we have Doom Eternal. This is obviously the sequel to Doom 2016. You have to put in the year 2016. Why? Because there was a game called Doom You know, the first one in the series? Yeah. Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. Same type of thing. Stop doing this. You can't just give it the exact same name. You've already used that name. Stick a 2 at the end, 3, 4, whatever. Give it a subtitle, whatever you want, but don't give it the same damn name. It's ridiculous. Even if you can kind of get away with it if it's a boot type of report type of situation like Resident Evil, and then we call it RE, but anyway, yeah. So I don't play that many FPS games. They're not really my favorite genre. But Doom 2016 was a great game. It just really did capture the feel of the original, Doom and Doom 2. And while I tried Doom 3, I could never get into it as much. It was trying to go more into the, the lighting horror type of thing. But I just like the kind of rip and tear action of Doom 2016. And I heard great things about this one. So yeah, I do want to jump into it when I get a chance. But there's so many games at the moment. It's just taking time. And there's some sort of steelbook thing. I don't know what this is. Yeah, some Amazon, I guess, exclusive. It's nice. You're probably meant to just, I don't know what you're meant to do. Honestly, I have no idea. Didn't open it, so I'll leave it for now because I don't want to end up with something to have to clean up that I wouldn't ordinarily have had to. But people often talk about retro game collecting and all that sort of stuff, and here's where it does come into. It's like I have this many games here, and you know what? I'm missing 2. And now that I think of it, they're downstairs. Oh well. There's 2 more Switch games that I've got, and they're on my to play pod. Yoshi's Crafted World and Paper Mario the Origami King. Yoshi's Crafted World is obviously another 2D platform action game. I really enjoyed Woolly World on the Wii U. This one didn't get as strong a review, so I'm not entirely sure how good it will be, but fingers crossed. And the Origami King, again, the visuals look great. It looks like it has that kind of great Mario kind of cartoony vibe, and the real question is, will it capture the character that the original and the Thousand Year Door did on the GameCube and N64, or will it kind of fall into the kind of the 3D S kind of ones? Yeah, what was it, Sticker Star and stuff, where it just felt a little flat. Ooh, pardon the pun. Being in that. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games, and that's not including download games, because I've got, I think the Spyro Trilogy was on sale, and Fantasy Star Masters, and plenty of download games, and maybe I'll talk about them in another thing where I actually have to switch so I can show you, because this video's gone long enough. But I did want to mention one more thing, which is actually not game related, but I think people at this channel might be sort of interested in. That's a music CD I picked up. I picked this up on brand new, delivered on eBay for like $2.80 or something like that, and it's Trevor Horn reimagines the 80s, featuring the SARM Orchestra, and it basically is like 12 tracks from the 80s. Everybody Wants to Rule the World, The Power of Love, What's Love Got to Do with It, Blue Monday, Take on Me, Girls on Film, so stuff like that. Classic songs, and different artists with different takes, all rearranged by Trevor Horn and played by orchestra. If you're looking for kind of a cheap CD that kind of gives you a different take on classic 80s music, it's worth a check out, and I'll probably post this on Twitter just so people can see. In fact, I think some of the tracks are on YouTube, so you can even listen to it there. But when I seen it was at that price, I said, you know what, $2.80 delivered, jeekers. With Brexit going on, that's a rarity that you can get anything like that these days. So yeah, I figured I'd pick it up, and I quite enjoy it. So yeah, thumbs up on that album. Anyway, I've rambled on well enough. That was my package and pickups. We'll call it the end of 2020, and we'll see what 2021 will bring. Does this really count as in as Christmas and New Year pack up? Because I didn't do one. I guess perhaps it does. How long in the year can you still call it your Christmas pickups? I should have started with that. That's really where it was. Anyway, really rambling now. Catch you next time.